Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to our program, Path to Happiness. As we've been discussing in the past, many different topics that will help you achieve or that will help you be happy in your life. Today as well, we've been thought through another interesting topic. Before we introduce that, let us welcome our Venerable Nun who has come here to help us understand Dhamma teaching all the way from Mutugala Mahamevunava Anagarika Monastery. Namo Buddhaya Menin Mahansa. So, as an aspect to talk about in today's session, we were thinking of talking about something very close to everyone's life, which is about relationship. When we talk about relationship begins from the day that we are born. We come to this world with the help of a mother and a father. That is the first relationship that we get entitled to. So when talking about relationship, Menin Mahansa, first it would be appropriate to establish how relationships are important to one's life.
Absolutely. I mean, as you beautifully mentioned, the moment we're born, we have a tie. Then that ties to our mother and father, and that's our first relationship. And what we have to understand is relationships are a part of life. As we live our normal life, we have to interact with other people. And what a relationship really is the way we interact, the way we feel about another person. That's what a relationship is. And as human beings, in our everyday life, we have to interact with other people, and so we have these different types of relationships. And these relationships are so important because depending on whether the relationships we have with each other, whether it's healthy or not, can really have a huge impact on our life.
Yes.
As you know, there are some people who does not have the ability to maintain stable, healthy relationships, and as a result of that, they suffer a lot. Their whole life is filled with sorrow and sadness. There's not a moment of happiness, and as a result of those unstable relationships, unhealthy relationships, they're always stressed out.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So relationships really are important, and we have to learn to maintain healthy relationships.
Yes. And absolutely, the relationships are very directly connected with your feelings, and it actually in turn get you either happy or sad. When it comes to having better, healthy relationship, like you said, what has our Supreme Buddha has taught us? Is there any learnings, any teachings that we can get from Dhamma to build better relationship?
Absolutely. I mean, our great teacher, the Supreme Buddha, there's nothing the Supreme Buddha hasn't taught us. Yes. The Supreme Buddha has said, even from the minute thing to the greatest thing there is in the world, the Supreme Buddha has covered everything. And so, of course, that includes relationships. The Supreme Buddha saw that having stable relationships in life is important. So the Supreme Buddha has taught us how we can maintain different relationships. The Supreme Buddha has said what a parent should do for their child, what a child should do for the parent to maintain a healthy relationship. And the Supreme Buddha has said how should husbands and wives interact, and how should students and teachers interact with each other in order to live happily, and even how an employer and employee should interact, what they must do for each other to maintain a balanced, healthy relationship. And of course, when you have such balanced, healthy relationships, your life is much happier.
Yes.
So the Supreme Buddha has said important Dhamma, has taught us has given us important advice as to how to maintain balanced, healthy relationships.
Okay. So when you're explaining the different types of relationship, it's interestingly the relationship should be much healthier between the parent and children, husband and wife, and employee and employee, and the list can go on. But for today's we'll try and explain about as much as possible that we can.
Absolutely.
So to start with, Menin Mahansa, how would a parent build a better relationship with their children? So because we will have a Dhamma friend, the parents watching this program who want to build better relationship probably are not having such like a solid relationship with their children, or maybe suffering even currently, and would wanting to know how can we improve or how can we build a better relationship with, especially with children.
Absolutely. I mean, it could be it could be a new parent who's watching, or it could be a parent who has children who's having conflicts in the relationship.
Currently,
so it's quite important to know what we must do for our children in order to maintain a balanced relationship. And our great teacher, the Supreme Buddha, explains one thing a parent do for their children is you must help them to stay away from doing wrong things, doing bad things.
Okay.
So what that means is you must teach your children the right from wrong, the good from the bad. Okay? So that's a responsibility of a parent. It's actually it's quite important that parents do this, because as you know, parents are the first teachers to children, and if the parent does not fulfill this responsibility, then the child is at a loss. The child really can go astray, can go in the wrong direction. So as a parent, from childhood, from the age where the child is able to understand, you must really be keen on teaching your child what is right and what is wrong. So as a father, as a mother, you must teach your child that killing is bad. You must teach them that, and you must teach them that hurting animals, hurting other living beings is bad. You must teach them that lying is bad. Stealing is bad, and saying harsh words to others that hurt other people's feelings is bad. And you must teach them, disrespecting elders is bad. So you must teach them what's bad and teach them the consequences of doing those bad things. And so as a parent, that's one of your responsibilities, because if you don't teach them what's wrong, they won't refrain from doing those wrong things. And even as a child, they'll start doing small things. They'll start doing bad things. As you know, in school, some kids steal erasers, steal pencils. That's where they start. And from school they start stealing, and sometimes it grows with them, and they end up becoming thieves. So sometimes the key is not knowing, not teaching. I think I have heard of some scenarios where thieves actually say, as a child, the parents were not there to guide them. The parents were not there to teach them the right from wrong, and so if you don't correct them at the beginning, then really the entire path is
destroyed.
It is destroyed, exactly. So as a parent, it's quite important that from the childhood you teach your child what wrong things are and what evil things are, and the importance of staying away from it. And the other thing also is, not only should you teach them, but you must also be of example. Because most of the time children learn from example, by observing. Exactly. So if you're someone who teaches your child not to say harsh words, but you come home after work and you start yelling at your wife, or you start yelling at your husband, if you're a wife, then you're not
setting an example.
Exactly, you're not a role model to a child. And so the child might wonder, my mother is telling me not to say harsh words, but she herself is saying it. So there's a contradiction. So as a parent, in addition to teaching your child what's wrong, you must try to be of example to your child. So you should, just as you teach your child, you should refrain from killing animals, you must also make sure you don't kill at home, not just at home, at any moment. Exactly. So you must be of example. That's the duty of a parent.
And parent is the first teacher of our children.
Exactly. And the Supreme Buddha say another thing, as a parent, what you should do is you must encourage your child to do good things. So in addition to teaching your child what's wrong, you must teach them you must teach them good things, what right things are. So for example, you must encourage them to help each other at school. You must teach them that looking after the sick is a good thing to do. And things like taking care of taking care of people in need, and giving. Giving is another good practice, a good habit that you can teach your child, because we have this unwholesome defilement called stinginess within us. So especially as children, they always want to take things for themselves rather than giving. You know, so as a parent, it's important that you help your child, you know, practice the habit of giving. And you, as a child, you must, as a parent, you must also try to teach your child about precepts, about protecting precepts, not to kill, not to lie, not to engage in sexual misconduct, not to drink intoxicating drinks and drugs. So that's a key point as a parent. You must really try to guide your child's life and encourage them to do good things and reward them. Because when you reward them and praise them when they do good things, for example, if they are involved in a fundraising project at home, you must support him. You must encourage it. And actually, speaking of that, I remember a story during the Supreme Buddha's time. I'm sure you have heard of the nobleman called Anathapindika. He had a son named Kala. Okay. And as you know, Anathapindika is a noble disciple of the Supreme Buddha, but his son was not so much into the Dhamma. He was not someone who visited the monastery. He always, you know, tried to stay away from it. And of course, as a father, Anathapindika, nobleman Anathapindika, wanted his son to get the treasure of Dhamma that he has gotten. Okay, so one day what he did is he asked his son to go to the Jetavana monastery and to see the Supreme Buddha, and he said, you know, I'll give you a reward. Okay, I'll give you a reward. I'll give you 500 golden coins. And so the son, of course, he was
had a reason to go.
Exactly. So he wanted to get the money. So he said, okay, father, I will go. So he went to the Jetavana monastery, and of course he didn't go and see the Supreme Buddha. He just hung around the monastery and he came back. And so when the father asked, did you go to the monastery? He said, yes, father, I went. So I want my money. So he got the 500 golden coins. And so Anathapindika asked, what did you learn? He said, no, I didn't learn anything. I just went to the monastery. And so he understood that it didn't work. So the next, as his next step, what he said was, okay, I want you to go to the monastery. I want you to go see the Supreme Buddha, and I want you to learn something that the Supreme Buddha has taught you, and I want you to come back and teach me that. Now this is, you can see how tactful the father is. Okay, and he said, son, I will give you 1,000 golden coins. Now the previous
double the reward.
Double the reward. So now I want you to go and learn something. So now again he agreed. Now he went to the Jetavana monastery. Now he couldn't wander, he couldn't hang around. He had to go and see the Supreme Buddha. So now he's sitting in front of the Supreme Buddha, and he's trying to learn something. But of course, our great teacher, the Supreme Buddha, what he did is he, using his psychic powers, he made it such that this young man can't remember anything. So he displayed a psychic power so that Kala, the son, can't remember anything that he teaches.
He can't.
He can't.
Okay.
So this is the effect of the Supreme Buddha's powers. So now this young man is sitting and he's trying to learn at least a single word. He's trying to memorize, but it's not working. Exactly, it's not working. And then so what he did is he thought, okay, I can't memorize. Then I'm going to try to understand. Because as you know, there are two ways of remembering. You can remember through semantics. That means through when you pay attention to the meaning, you can remember. So since he couldn't memorize by simply just listening, what he did is he directed his mind to understanding the meaning of what the Supreme Buddha was teaching. And when his mind was directed to the semantics, he understood the Dhamma. And he actually became a Sotapanna disciple, a stream entrant. And so that day he went back to his father. And when his father saw his son, he asked, did you go to the monastery? And he said, yes. Okay, then here's your 1,000 golden coins. Anathapindika gave the 1,000 golden coins, and at that moment, Kala, the son, said, no, I don't want, because now he's a noble disciple, he's a stream entrant. He said, no, I don't want the money. I actually got what I need to get.
A treasure.
Exactly, yeah, he got the real treasure. So in that way, you can see, as a parent, you must really be tactful and guide your children, encourage them to do good things, and really support them, guide them, and encourage them to do so.
Yes.
And on top of those things, the Supreme Buddha explains another thing that you must do is you must teach your children skills. What that really means is you must make sure you send them to school, and you guide them, and you teach them different skills. So, example, it could be directing them to extracurricular activities such as swimming or playing musical instruments. So, teach them different types of skills. Could be directing them to sports. So, as a parent, that's also one of your responsibilities. Actually, in the present society, I think a lot of parents are very much concerned on this.
On that one.
Yeah, rather than teaching the
good from the bad.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So that's only one part of the duty that you have as a parent. So that's something you must do. Definitely. But that's not the only thing you must do. And the Supreme Buddha explains other things that you must do is you must also, as a parent, when your child reaches the right age, you must make sure that you give them away in marriage. So of course you must do it in a balanced way so that it does not bother your child. If the child wants to get married, you must help him find the right partner, and give her away in marriage. And another point the Supreme Buddha says is you must give them their inheritance at the right time. Okay, so those are the things that as a parent, those are the things that you must do. And when you do these things, you're able to maintain a healthy, happy relationship with your children. Exactly.
And even as Supreme Buddha explained, the education, giving the right skill, that actually comes to the third, where teaching the right from the wrong is the first that any parent should be teaching their children.
Absolutely, exactly.
Yeah. So we see even in today's society where children are yelling at their parents, and probably parents are investing a lot of money on developing skills and getting the children to be competent and competing with his peers, and finally he's only after a big competition, but he has completely forgotten what is right, what is good, what is bad.
Absolutely. So on the parents' part, that's so vital. That parents really understand that one of their duties really is teaching your children what's right from wrong, because if you don't do that, if you don't teach your child what's right from wrong, then chances are no one else will. And their complete life, their entire life can be really destroyed if you don't do that. It's such
right from the foundation.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely. And at the same time, for sure, as the parent has their duties towards raising the children to be good citizen and to be good human being very kind and gentle to everybody and being resourceful to the whole nation. On the other side, children also must have some duties towards their parents in order to protect their parents. And what are the duties that the children should have towards their parents?
Absolutely. Our great teacher, the Supreme Buddha, says as a child, one of your responsibilities that you have towards your parents is you must make sure that you take care of you must support your parents in return, because they supported you when you were small. Okay? So once you grow up, when you have the ability, you must make sure you take care of your parents, that you support your parents. So of course that means not just giving them money. It means in all ways, financially, emotionally, in every way, you must make sure your parents are supported. So you must make sure, exactly. So you must make sure that they have a good house to live in, that they have the food that they need, that they have the medicine that they require. As you know, as parents age, they need medicine. So we must make sure that they're taken care of. They're taken to the doctor, and they're taken care of in terms of their health.
They're kept happy. Mentally as well.
Exactly. So that's one responsibility that you have is making sure that your parents are supported, because I think in the present society a lot of children don't do this. The parents
neglect their parents.
Exactly. A lot of the time parents are neglected. They don't have a good place to stay, they don't have the right food, they don't have the money to buy the medicine that they need, and they don't have the emotional support either. So you have to make sure as a child that you support your parents in return, because they supported you when you were small.
And helpless.
Absolutely,
Yes.
exactly. And also on top of that, the Supreme Buddha says another thing that you must do is you must perform their duties for them. And what that really means is, suppose your parents maintain a business, you must make sure that you actually continue that business. And that does not mean that you have to be a businessman, but it just means you do something and you make sure, you protect that business. So you either direct someone else to take care of it instead of just making it
probably get destroyed.
You must make sure it's maintained, because that keeps the parents happy,
yes.
right? Because there comes a point where they can't take care of the business anymore.
Too old for that.
Exactly. So then one of your responsibilities is whatever thing that they have been doing, that you support them in that. You continue to do it for them.
Yes.
And the Supreme Buddha explains another is you must make sure that you keep up family traditions. That's something that as a child you must do, and that's something that will help you to balance and develop a healthy relationship. So for example, suppose every New Year's Eve you get together and you have a dinner. And that's not something you must break, because once you break it, your parents are really
emotionally
affected. They feel it.
Yes.
If you don't attend that New Year's Eve dinner, they can really
get hurt.
Exactly. So in that way, if you have different families have different family traditions. So as a child, one of your responsibilities is to keep up that family tradition for your parents. That's something that you're doing for your parents. And another thing that the Supreme Buddha says that you must do is you must also make sure that you protect your parents' wealth.
Okay.
I think this is something that a lot of children don't do. A lot of children, especially in the current society, they simply end up wasting their parents' wealth right in front of the parents.
Yes.
So sometimes they get the money as inheritance and they simply,
destroy them.
Exactly. So the Supreme Buddha says, as a child, one of the responsibilities is to spend that money in the right way instead of simply wasting it. That's one of the responsibilities. And the Supreme Buddha also says, upon your parents' death, as a child, one of your duties is to make sure that you share merit with them, that you give alms and you share merit with them, because once our parents pass away, we cannot pass one thing, we cannot pass anything physically from hand to hand. The only thing we can do is remember our parents and share merit with them. So that's something, as a noble disciple, as a noble daughter, a noble son, one of your responsibilities to your parents is to do that after their death. Give alms and share merit with them, because that will, if they are in a place where they can rejoice in that merit, then they can use that merit.
Yes. Okay, with that, we will take a short break and we will be back. Welcome back to our program, Path to Happiness. Just before the break, we have been talking about relationship, different kinds of relationship, and in particularly parents and children's relationship, and the duties from parents towards children and the duties of children towards parents. Well, with that, we should go to a different kind of a relationship, which is very important and vital to many of the people, which is husband and wife relationship. So there we find very few in the society being very happily married, and till the death they are very happy. And mostly we see people are not very happy, or there's something missing in the relationship, or there are fights we see, and a little an enlightenment towards the relationship between husband and wife, and what are the kind of responsibility probably husband have towards wife in terms of keeping her happy and towards a better relationship building.
Absolutely. having a healthy husband-wife relationship is actually vital to life,
Yes.
vital to married life.
Yes.
So the Supreme Buddha explains there are certain things that as a husband you must do for your wife. And the Supreme Buddha says one thing that you must do, that you must make sure that you do, is you must honor your wife.
Yes.
You must respect your wife. So you shouldn't look down on her, you shouldn't, and the Supreme Buddha says on top of that, you must not insult her.
Okay.
So I think those are two key things in a marriage,
Yes.
which causes problems. Really, if you really look into your own life,
emotionally.
absolutely. If your husband is always looking down on you, not honoring you, not respecting you, and always insulting you, that can really have a big impact on you emotionally as a wife, isn't it?
Yes.
And sometimes some husbands, what they do is they make fun of their wife and they say bad things about their wives in front of the children, in front of friends, and of course that can be quite embarrassing.
Yes.
And what that does is that really shakens up the relationship.
Yes.
So the Supreme Buddha saw this happening, and that's why the Supreme Buddha advised, as a husband, you must make sure that you honor. That it's something that must come from your heart, actually.
Exactly.
You must truly honor your wife. Okay, so if you truly love her, then of course you would honor her.
Yes.
And you would respect her. And you would never say harsh words to her. Make her feel make her feel demeaning.
Yes.
Never look down on her.
Yes.
Those are two key things that as a husband you must do for your wife. And on top of that, the Supreme Buddha says, as a husband, you must never cheat on your wife. And that's also vital, a key factor in maintaining a healthy marriage.
Yes.
You must make sure that your complete world revolves around only your wife.
Yes.
You must not let even through thoughts, you must not
seek for others.
Exactly.
Happiness.
Seek for others. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's one thing you must make sure that you do.
And that's one probably a big reason for a lot of maybe divorces in this country. And
Absolutely.
many others, yeah.
Not being faithful to your wife is
Right.
one of the main reasons why
Yes.
marriages fail
Yes.
so often.
Absolutely.
So it's a key thing that you must make sure that you do in a relationship, in maintaining a relationship, in a healthy relationship. And another thing the Supreme Buddha says is, as husband, you must make sure that your wife has authority and power within the family.
Okay.
So you should not just corner her. You must give her a good place in the family and make sure
that she's empowered.
Exactly, that she has a say in family matters. Instead of the husband always making decisions, your wife must also get the authority and say in the family. So it should be balanced instead of just an authoritarian
a household.
Exactly. Okay. And on top of that, the Supreme Buddha says another thing you must do is you must make sure you buy things for your wife. Okay, if your wife wants jewelry, if your wife wants clothing, you must make sure that you buy it for her, because that will make her happy.
Yes.
So if you do these things, if you honor her, if you respect her, and you don't insult her, you
Give her authority,
and you buy the things she needs, and the Supreme Buddha says you can maintain a balanced relationship.
Okay.
And of course, just as the husband has a duty towards the wife also has a duty towards the husband.
Yes.
And one of the things that as a wife, what you must do is you must make sure that you're organized and you do the household work properly. Okay, so as a wife, that's one of your responsibilities. And of course, this does not mean that only the wife must work at home.
Yes.
This is just simply to say, as a wife, that's one of your responsibilities, because as you know, during the Supreme Buddha's time, most of the time it was the husband who earned, so the wife is at home. So of course this is in relationship to that. But even in the present society, although the wife and husband both work, the wife does have a role in making sure that the household is maintained in a proper way. So as a wife, you must be organized. That's one of the key things as a wife you must have in your life, and you must make sure that that you do the household work properly.
Yes.
And another thing that you must do, the Supreme Buddha says, is if your husband has, for example, say a business or has workers under him, as a wife, you must also make sure that they are taken care of.
Okay.
So especially during Supreme Buddha's time, there were many workers in a household. So as a wife, you must know who's sick, who needs medicine, who can do. You must know what each servant is capable of doing, and make sure that the duties they get is what they can do. So you must actually pay attention to the workers and take care of them as well. And the Supreme Buddha says another thing you must do is, as a wife, again, just like the husband, you must never cheat on your husband.
Yes.
Exactly. And actually something comes up, I remember a story where Nakula Mata, there was a couple during the Supreme Buddha's time known as Nakula Mata and Nakula Pittu, and they came to the Supreme Buddha, and they said, the Nakula Mata, the Nakula Pitta says, Venerable Sir, this is my young wife, and I got married to her when I was very young. Okay, so I was very young when I got married to her, but Venerable Sir, from the moment I got married to her, I don't recall having even thought of another woman, all the more behave in a wrong way with another woman. So that's how faithful he has been to the wife. And the wife said the same thing. The wife said, Venerable Sir, this is my husband Nakula Pittu. I got married to him when I was very young, but from the moment I married him, I don't recall thinking about another man, all the more be with another man. So that's how faithful the husband and wife's relationship must be with each other. And another thing the Supreme Buddha explains you must do as a wife is you must make sure that you safeguard the family's wealth. It's one of your responsibilities as a wife. So you must make sure that you don't simply spend the money on unnecessary things. I think this is something that happens a lot in households in the present, right?
Have been very carelessly spending.
Absolutely, and that's a big. The money part, the financial part, is a key in unsuccessful marriages. So as a wife especially, you must make sure that you control and make sure that it's not spent on unnecessary things. Because it can really harm your relationship with your husband. And the Supreme Buddha explains another thing that you must do as a wife is you must really be skillful and diligent in your work. You must not be lazy. So this is also another key. As a wife, you shouldn't be lazy. Because if you're lazy, then the complete household is affected. So you must be very skillful, you must be very active. And make sure that you look into everything. You look after your husband, your children, and you must make sure the complete household is maintained. So those are some of the responsibilities as a wife that you have. And if you complete these responsibilities, then you can actually make sure that you have a good relationship with your husband. You can make sure your husband is happy and so your children are happy and you yourself can be happy.
What about the four bad destiny, the three types of wife who are destined to four bad destinations, and the four types of wives who will surely be destined at a good destination? So there could be instances where you're so much in love and you're so much affectionate towards your partner, and you want to be born together in the next birth as well. Is that possible in this
Absolutely.
life?
I think the example that we took before as Nakula Mata and Nakula Pittu, the two of them came to the Supreme Buddha one day and they said, this is my wife. I was married to her when I was very young. And Nakula Mata said the same thing, and they asked, Venerable Sir, we're so much in love with each other, and not only in this life, we also want to be together in the next life. And they asked the Supreme Buddha, how can we do that? Now, in response to that, the Supreme Buddha didn't say anything about, oh no, don't travel
being
in this
born is bad.
Exactly. The Supreme Buddha didn't say anything like that. They didn't say, be detached from each other. He didn't say anything like that. Simply, he responded the answer that they wanted, and that is, the Supreme Buddha said, if two people want to be together, just as this life, in the next life, the Supreme Buddha said, you must develop four things equally. Okay, that is, you must have equal confidence in the triple gem. You must have equal pleasant mind about the Supreme Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha.
The Shraddha.
Yeah, Shraddha, exactly. And you must also be equal in your virtue. That means you must protect the precepts in the same way, equally. And you must also be equal in generosity. Generosity. And the fourth is you must have equal wisdom.
Okay.
So if you have those 4 things, the Supreme Buddha explains, in your next life you can meet again.
Okay.
Yeah. So as a husband and wife, if it's something that you want, the answer is you must practice the Dhamma. If you practice the Dhamma,
Together.
not only can you be happy in this life, you can be happy in your next life together as well.
As well,
Yeah.
absolutely. So when building such healthy relationship and being in very strong bonded relationship, would that hinder, would that obstruct the spiritual development?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And the best example that you can get is the same Nakula Mata. What happened was, when Nakula Pittu, the husband, was he fell sick and he was on his deathbed and he was about to die. And now this Nakula Mata came near him, and she started to teach the Dhamma to him. And he said, dear husband, do not die filled with expectation. She said, don't think that you're leaving me and the children all alone. Don't think that, don't be concerned thinking that, I'm going to be alone and that I won't be able to, protect the precepts. I won't be able to meditate. She said, no, even after you die, I'll make sure I have powers, I have the strength in my hands. I'll make sure I'll take care of the kids. I'll do a job, I'll take care of the kids. And just because I'm taking care of the kids, it wouldn't mean that I will neglect my Dhamma path. She said, I'll be celibate just like we have been for the past 4 years, past few years that we have been married together. And I'll make sure I'll meditate and I'll make sure I practice my Dhamma path. And at that moment she actually said something quite amazing. She said, if you doubt me, you can go to the Supreme Buddha and ask about my spiritual development. And she said, when you ask, the Supreme Buddha will reply saying, among lay women who has attained a concentrated mind, this Nakula Matu, your wife, is foremost among lay women who have developed a concentrated mind. So in this way you can see, although they were so much in love, towards the husband's deathbed, the final moments, the wife had the strength to encourage him to let go of everything, to let go of the children, to let go of herself, and to continue his path. That just shows that although they were in love with each other, because they had the Dhamma within their hearts, they were able to use that Dhamma to let go of each other.
Yeah. That's the beauty of a relationship built with Dhamma.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you can live happily in this very life, and when the right time comes, you can also let go.
Yes.
And so if you have the Dhamma within your life, if you practice the Dhamma, if you practice virtue, if you practice meditation, if you practice generosity, and you form a pleasant mind about the Supreme Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, then really you can lead such a happy life.
Yes, absolutely. That actually brings us to the end of today's time that is being allocated, Menon Mahansa. We'd like to share merits with you for all the Dhamma teaching that you shared with us. And at the same time, dear friends, it's the end of today's program. We will meet you next week as well with another interesting topic. Namo Buddhaya.